Let's widen the tax net. Those who are not paying now, if it is inclusive of Bola Tinubu, let the nets get bigger and we take in more taxes, and that is what we must do in the country.
By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how much you're going to be paying in taxes from next year when the new tax policies will come into effect. But before I go into the video proper, let me use this analogy to paint a picture so you understand why these tax policies are important and why they're not as bad as many of these ignorant influencers want to make it seem. Imagine Nigeria as a block of flats with 6 apartments. Now, you know, to keep these apartments or this environment in good condition, regular maintenance is needed. Now, to carry out this maintenance costs 600,000 naira. We call it service charge. So let's say the service charge for this apartment unit or the block of flats is 600,000 naira. So each of these 6 tenants is expected to contribute 100,000 naira towards this maintenance. However, 4 of those tenants refuse to pay, leaving only 2 paying their 100,000 naira. Now, imagine a situation where 200,000 naira is needed or is used to do a job of 600,000 naira. What do you think will be the condition of that compound? It will be in bad shape. Now, those 2 guys that have been paying, in their minds, they are like, I'm paying for a service, but I'm not getting a result. I'm not getting any result for the service I paid for. In some extreme cases, the facility manager might be forced to even appeal to them to pay more, so at least things will be better than they are. So these guys are paying more for less value. Now, a new facility manager has come to that compound and said everybody must pay their service charge, the 100,000 naira, whether they like it or not. Now, those people that have been paying, they're the ones that are saying, all the taxes have been paying. Where's the result? You have not been seeing any result because a lot of people have not been paying their own taxes. That is the situation Nigeria has been in. And that's what this new tax policy is trying to correct. So that those that have been paying will see results. Those that have been paying more will pay less. And those that have not been paying at all will be forced to pay. So I'll use a couple of examples. I use 65,000 naira. So if you're earning 65,000 naira, I'll show you exactly how much you're going to be paying. 100,000 naira per month, 500,000 naira per month, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, and then from 50 million above per year, we're going to know exactly how much you're going to be paying. So I'm not a tax expert, right? Everything I'm using is verifiable. So there's a website called fiscalreforms.ng. So this is a government website. So it has the personal income tax calculator so that you can know exactly how much you're going to pay. There are various types of taxes. You have personal income tax, value-added tax, capital gains tax, withholding tax, so many taxes, and these are applicable all over the world. But what has really caused a lot of confusion and a lot of concern are the personal income tax and the company income tax, and that's what we're going to focus on in this video. Because I've heard some ignorant statements like, oh, it is not true to say Nigerians don't pay taxes. Anything you buy, you pay taxes. That is value-added tax. So tax you pay on consumption. And even these new tax policies are removing taxes on basic items like rent, like food, and some other basic items. I'm going to post them here. So let's go into the calculation. So on this website, you have the first tab, gross annual income. The amount you're earning per month, you multiply by 12 before deductions to know what your gross annual income is. So you put it there. Then you now have additional deductions. So you're not paying taxes on everything that you earn. The government allows you to remove some basic deductions and then they now tax the balance. Or if you're a business, you remove your business expenses and then they now tax the remaining profits. So it's not everything that goes through your account that they're going to tax, but I will explain more on that later. So what are the allowable deductions? You have your NHF contribution, National Housing Fund. So if you're contributing towards housing, NHIS, National Health Insurance Scheme, pension contribution, interest on loan for owner-occupied houses. So if you took a loan to buy or build the house that you're living in, you're not going to be paying, so you'll be allowed to deduct that interest that you pay every year. You have life insurance premium for those that are doing life insurance, and then you have your annual rent. This is the formula. So 20% of your rent to maximum of 500,000. So if your rent is below 500,000, you're allowed to deduct 20% of it. Now, if your rent is above 500,000, the maximum you can remove is 500,000. So let's say your rent is 5 million. You're only allowed to remove 500,000. But this calculator makes it very easy. So let's use the first salary. So let's say somebody earning 650,000 naira. Let's find out how much exactly they are going to be paying in taxes from next year. So gross annual income, 65,000 naira times 12, that gives you 780,000 naira per year. I mean, somebody earning 780,000, I'm not sure they can have any deductions. NHF, the salary is already poor, right? But let's say their annual rent. So somebody earning 780,000, what is their rent? Let's assume 300,000 naira. So how much tax are they going to pay? So you can see it. 0. Somebody earning 65,000 naira is not going to pay any taxes. But under the old tax law, that person was going to be paying 2,886,000 naira, which is 4.4% of their salary. Let's use the next example. which is 100,000 naira. 100,000 naira is 1.2 million naira per year. So your gross annual income is 1.2 million. Again, this salary is too small to have deductions, right? So let's just use the let's just remove the rent. Somebody earning 1.2, let's say 400,000. I even feel like 300 was too much for somebody earning 780, but I mean, you can see it's still zero. So let's use 400,000 for somebody earning 1.2. So you can see somebody earning 100,000 naira is going to pay only 4,000 naira per month, which is 4% of their salary. Because there was this nonsense that was trending that once you're above that 65,000 or 800,000 naira per year, you'll be paying 15%. You can see that it's a lie. What you're only going to pay is 4%, which is one of the lowest in the world. What will you have been paying in the last administration? 6.5%, which is 6,500 naira. The next salary range you're going to use is 500k, which is 6 million naira per year. So if you're earning 6 million naira, how much taxes are you going to be paying from next year? Somebody earning 6 million, I believe they can be able to do some contributions. For NHF, I think the maximum you can do is 2.5% of your salary. Now, according to the tax law, you're allowed to take, I almost forgot this, you're allowed to take maximum of 30%. You're allowed only maximum of 30% deduction. So you must leave at least 70% for the government to tax. So somebody earning 6 million, NHF, I think maximum is 2.5%. That will give you somewhere around, let's use 180,000 naira. Okay, this person also contributes to pension. Let's use another 180,000. Remember, I said you can use up to 30%. But there's also a disadvantage to that, but maybe I'll talk about that in another video. Somebody paying earning 6 million naira per year, that person should be able to do, let's say, 1.5 million. But again, it doesn't really matter because once you're above 500,000, the maximum you can move is 500k. So it doesn't really matter. So how much will this person be paying in taxes? So somebody earning 500k per month will be paying 62,600 in taxes, which is 12.5% of their salary. But in the old tax regime, they would have been paying 68,906, which is just 13.8% of their salary. So a difference of 6,300. That's what they will be saving in this new tax regime. Let's use another example. So somebody earning a million naira. So with these examples, you can now use your own salary and compute it so you will understand what we're talking about. So I'll just show you at the point where you start paying more. So 1 million naira is 12 million per year. Let's just leave these contributions. You can do that on your own. I don't want the video to be too long. Somebody earning 12 million, I'm able to do 4 million per year in rent. But again, like I said, it doesn't matter. How much taxes will this person be paying? 15.5%. Somebody earning 1 million naira will be paying 155,000 naira. But in the last tax regime, they would have been paying 17%. So that's 170,000. How much would they be saving? 15,666. But see where it now twists. So somebody earning 2 million naira, that is 24,000 naira per year. Let's keep all these deductibles. Somebody earning 24 million naira is a big boy, should be able to pay, let's say, 8 million. But like I said, it doesn't matter. So this person will be paying 18.2% in taxes, 363,750, as against 361,866. Remember, I didn't do any deductions. If I had done some deductions, you would have seen that it would go down. But you can see that from 2 million, that's when it starts to twist. 2 million exactly, if you do your deductions, you will pay slightly less, right? But you can see without deductions, you're not paying more. So it's from 2 million naira, so 24 million naira per year. That's when you'll be paying more than what you are paying before. So basically, they're collecting more from the high earners and less from the lower income earners. Let's just use one last example. So somebody earning 60 million. So that is 5 million per year. Per month, sorry. Without deductions. Again, you can take your time and do deductions. You definitely have lower taxes. So let's say this person is doing big boy, 15 million. Again, it doesn't matter. So somebody earning 5 million naira per month will be paying a little over 1 million naira per month, which is 21.3% of their salary. How much would they have been paying in the last regime? 18.6%, which is 930 something thousand. How much more are they paying now? 136,416. So, I mean, it depends on how you want to interpret this, but you can see that it is those that are earning higher that are going to be paying more. Those that are earning lower are paying less. However, they've created an avenue where high income earners can also, dodge the taxes. So there's a difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance. You are allowed to pay as little taxes as possible, but you're not allowed to dodge taxes. So where you can pay as little as possible, you're allowed to do so. That now takes us to company income tax. Now, as a company, if you have a revenue less than 50 million, I mean, I've heard 50 million, I've heard 100 million. It's confusing at this point, but let's use 50 million. If your earnings are less than 50 million, you won't pay any taxes. So that's why from next year, to be advisable for people who, small businesses, content creators, or people in the informal sector to register businesses, not business names, businesses. So something limited. So let's use a content creator, Sabinus, for example. So Sabinus registers Sabinus Nigeria Limited or Sabinus Comedies Limited. Once his earnings are below 50 million, or I don't know, maybe it's 100 million, but let's use 50 million, he will not pay any taxes. So if I was Sabinus now, what I'll do is I'll register that company, and then all my earnings will be going through that company account. So if it's below 50 million, I don't bother. But once it's now above 50 million, you're not allowed to do those deductions to pay as little as possible. Now, what are those allowable deductions? As a content creator, I can capture the purchase of a house as my business expense, right? So that house, like a content studio where I shoot my content. So if I'm buying cameras, if I'm buying gear, even my car, my phone, I can capture it under business expenses. So it's after you've taken all these deductions, the balance is what you're now going to be taxed on. So company income tax is 30%. So I hope it's clear. I'm just going through my notes to see if I'm not forgetting anything. So tax is paid on income, not your total earnings. So let's say somebody, a POS vendor, right? Because somebody that does POS reached out to me. Now, you know that if 100,000 enters your account, so to withdraw 100,000, I think the charge is what? Like 10,000? Correct me if I'm wrong. So somebody pays 110,000 to your account, but you give the person 100,000 naira cash. The tax man is not going to tax you on 110,000. No. They're going to tax you on just the 10,000 naira balance, which is your profit. So from next year, we are going to, everybody will be made to do what they call, file what they call tax returns. So you will go through your account, say, oh, these are my expenses, these are my profits, I've taken out the deductions, tax man, this is your tax. So for the most part, you'll be allowed to do that. But if for whatever reason they don't trust you, then they will now audit your account to be sure that, you pay what you're supposed to pay. And if you pay less, they will make you pay more with some fines. And if you overpay, you will now get tax refunds. You're not going to be taxed on gift and pocket money. I know like 2 students reached out to me, my parents send me money, will I pay taxes on it? No, that is a gift. So when you're filing your tax return, you let them know that, oh, this is my pocket money my parents are sending for me. I'm not really earning any money. You won't pay taxes on those. So that's all I have for you. But before I end, a few days ago, I made a video where I went through the revenue of Lagos State for 2025. And in that video, I highlighted that Lagos State was going to make 1.2 trillion naira in taxes for 2025. And I said that is poor. That for a state like Lagos State, they should be earning at least 5 to 6 trillion naira per year. And in that video, I highlighted that can be of one of two reasons. Either they are not collecting enough taxes from the people, or there's a lot of leakages. So taxes are being collected, but they are not remitted into the government account. Now, when I made that video, I got a very interesting DM for somebody that works for one of these tax agencies. Hello, Duru. How are you doing? I'm enjoying your discussion and education on the tax issues in Nigeria and Lagos as a whole. Introduce yourself, but I'm going to keep that private. I just want to touch about these leakages you mentioned. The biggest source of leakage comes from employers who make deductions for payee and never remit to LIRS, and some who deduct higher amounts and remit lower. Thousands of Lagos residents who work in Lagos can try and compare the tax deductions from their pay slips with the payment history on their tax profile to understand what I'm saying. So people should just drop the idea that government is chopping their money. Money we know they reach government hand. Did you get that? So like I said, there are a lot of leakages. So what this guy is alleging is that there are some employers that collect taxes from people, but they do not remit it to the government. Or they collect more from people and then they remit less. That's why some people are saying that they are paying so much taxes, they are not seeing anything. Now, this new tax regime is to level the playing field. So as an employee, you can go through this tax calculator and know exactly how much you're going to be paying from next year. Now, you might think this is a lie, but there's a story that trended early this year that confirms what this person is saying. Let me read it to you. So this is from Tech Cabal, January 30, 2020. Bento CEO resigns amid EFCC LIRS probe. Ebo Okubanjo, CEO of Bento Africa, a Nigerian payroll and human resource management platform, has resigned amidst allegation of failing to remit taxes and pensions on behalf of his clients. So this one now is not even doing it to his employees. So this is a company that helps other companies to balance their books. So what this article is alleging is that this guy will collect taxes from these companies and not remit it to the government. Let's continue. His resignation comes at a turbulent time for Bento Africa, with allegations of financial mismanagement, particularly regarding the withholding of employee taxes and pension contributions. These claims were brought to light on Friday by Akintunde Sultan, co-founder of EdTech company Old School. Additionally, Fuelmetrics, a digital inventory management firm for petrol stations, alleged that Bento Africa had failed to remit up to 50 million naira, which is $108,000 in taxes and pension contributions for 2023 and 2024. So you can go and read the rest of the article. So do you get it? So this is what the new tax policies are coming to correct. Those that have been paying too much will pay less, and those that have not been paying will be forced to pay. So please, if you found value in this video, share it with more people so that These ignorant influencers don't cause unnecessary panic and misinform the public.